Do you recharge your energy by having time alone, or do you recharge?
I'll add that it's also about the quality of the people that you're around as well. They don't have to be your friends or close inner circle, but the social milieu needs to be of a certain ilk, quality. If you live in a particular milieu or an environment where people don't share similar values to you, because extroverts can share similar values on a feeling level, but their expression may be different socially. If people don't share the same values as you on a feeling level, just being in environments can be like very readily draining. Whereas if there are extroverts that are more energetically or on a feeling level aligned with you, they'll be less readily draining. Also in the video is given the example of musicians that cancel tours because they get burnt out. And one celebrity that comes to mind is Lauryn Hill. Now, over 20 years ago, I actually went to a Lauryn Hill concert, and I didn't really get to meet her. And she's a tiny thing. She's like 5'2", 5'3". But she was like 2 hours late to the concert. She did a few songs that people recognized because back then, Miseducation was still very, very popular, even though it was 5 years out. And she ended up doing a lot of new songs that nobody really knew and nobody was really fucking with, but she was kind of like irritated with the audience that she wanted to do what she wanted to do, and the people just wanted to hear the old hits that they knew and loved. And back then, I didn't really have a lot of empathy for Lauren. I was like, man, she's being kind of, not really nice. And then maybe 15 years later, I saw, several reports of how she would, book concerts and then cancel them or come incredibly late. And this was, in 2003, I was not, I was an empath, but I was not Kundalini awakened. About 15 years later, I had been several years into Kundalini awakening. So I was fully empathic, fully feeling, fully psychic. And at that point, I totally understood where Lauren was coming from, why she was late, why she would cancel, concerts, and people just didn't get it. Why she would seem like a crazy person to people, why she would, structure her concerts a certain way. And one thing about the way she structures the performances of her concerts is that every performance is different. So she's kind of like a real taskmaster to the musicians that accompany her in the band. Now, I'm not saying that Lauryn Hill is mentally or emotionally stable. She doesn't always seem to be that way. It seems like especially these days, many times, especially in public environments, she struggles with emotional stability. I'm not saying she's crazy either. I'm just saying she's a Gemini. So, it could be both or neither. What I'm saying is she's one of the most talented musicians to ever hit the mainstream in the last 30 to 40 years. And she does not really find it enjoyable to always have to prepare mentally and emotionally for performing. I'm sure she doesn't. And then as a Gemini, Geminis do shit so good that they end up being seen as like the savior of mainstream whatever. It doesn't have to be music. Kendrick Lamar is a Gemini, and many revere him as the savior of hip hop. But they're just incredibly talented people. Andre 3000, another Gemini, another like golden, can do no wrong. But I'm digressing. I want to stay on the topic of introvert versus extrovert. But still, even in those three examples of musical artists, they all kind of pull away from the spotlight because it is incredibly difficult dealing with the wanton psychic energy of people who love the content that you create. It is incredibly difficult. To go into my personal experience, back when the vid was vidden in 2020, TikTok was more of a Wild West where they would just give out free candy, meaning views and virality, just whatever. They would just give it out. And there were many times where I would create videos and I would have notifications where I would get hundreds and thousands of notifications of comments, likes, shares, all that, just for saying something that I felt was right. And just from receiving comments on the platform, not even in physical reality, I felt like this incredibly frictiony white noise in my head, in my body, that was just like shh. And it felt like just a tremendous amount of pressure to move here, move here. And it was just like there was just so much energy being filled. My body was like almost plugged into a socket of energy. And I was like, wow, I like going viral, but it's incredibly, it's incredibly overwhelming to get all that attention on all my uh, posts. Now I'm going to have to do some inner work in order to be able to deal with that. So this is the life of an empath, particularly an empath in the entertainment field. When someone brings beautiful music for you to enjoy, and you're not just an empath but an introvert. When someone brings beautiful music for you to enjoy, just try to understand they pulled that out of themselves. Like, do you know what it takes? It's almost like a hunter goes out, or a hunter group goes out and they hunt and they bring back four dead bears for like a community of maybe 20 or 30 to engorge and feast upon, right? Do you know how much work that took for their little camp of maybe like 10, 15 hunter gatherers, men, maybe a few women, to go out and get those bears and kill four bears and bring their heavy asses back to the village or to the encampment or to the settlement where the other 20, 30, or 40 some odd, inhabitants can just eat? That's hard. Now I know that music is not physical food, but it is a food of sorts. And it's not just for, you know, uh, musicians to just, self-congratulate and say, I went out into the wilderness and I brought this back. No, it's not about that. It's just to convey an idea of how arduous it is, or how involved. It may not be arduous. The process may be actually very easy, but it's a very involved process. You have to get very emotionally and intimately involved with yourself and contact that inner creative muse. And that is a beautiful process. And then you just create, and you create in your little comfortable little pocket dimension, and it's great there. But then you got to come out and show it to the people. And you want your shit to be seen. You want people to see it, hear it, feel it, whatever. You want that. But you don't necessarily want people to, heave ho all their, projections on you. You want them to enjoy you and admire you and respect you. And maybe you get a little red carpet thrown out in front of you every now and again because of the contribution you've made to society. But this whole going crazy and losing your shit over just because someone went somewhere and brought something back, it's like, for the artists themselves, it's like, I understand that it has an impact on you because the artists themselves are fans. Music and movies and stories have had impacts on them emotionally, where they worship somebody that was incredibly gifted. But when you are on the other side, when you're a producer and not just a consumer, it's like, okay, guys, like, I get it, you love it, but I can't give you. I'm not an extrovert, bro. I can't give you all that. You need to take what I've created and take that and enjoy that, and maybe I can add some other dimensions to the things I create that I prepare for you. But my personality, my physical body, I can't give that to you all the time. This is something that I personally struggle with. I struggle with it because it's like, extroverted people, most people, they just don't understand that. And I have to have empathy for them because at some point, I did not understand Prince at all. I did not understand Lauryn Hill at all. I did not understand why musical artists were the way they were. To end this presentation, when I was young, maybe about 10, 12 years old, I saw an interview with Prince. And I was like, why is he so guarded? Why is he being so weird? Why is he being so stoic and, tall, tucked in and, hiding himself away? Why is he doing that shit? I remember I was a kid. I did not understand it at all. I didn't get it. But my whole life, I've low-key been an introvert empath. But it was just never acknowledged. I felt energy my entire life and didn't know that's what it was. Now I'm a grown ass man and I'm still struggling to come to terms with it.